This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the president and CEO of Aben Resources, Mr. Jim Pettit. Jim, how are you this morning?
I'm really good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on. I hate to use the word technical and geologic success, but I think if we're going to talk about the 2019 exploration program, I'm curious if you'd agree with that, Jim. I know that the market has been expecting and hoping for some of those big high-grade intercepts that you had in programs past that didn't happen. But there was a lot of data that you were able to gather as a result of the 2019 exploration program. Can you provide an overview of what was accomplished and kind of what the next steps are here?
Sure, absolutely. Yes, you're right. The market wants high grade, no question about it. But this is all part of the initial exploration program we put together 3 years ago, based on a data compilation from past existing or sort of past history in terms of drilling done on the overall property, sampling on the whole property, that sort of thing. And it gave us a direction to go, and that was starting in the north boundary zone, and that whole boundary zone area is the primary focus of our interest. It was our number one priority, actually, and so here we are 3 seasons later, still there. We came out of the chute with some tremendously high grades. Our intention is still to do this broad-based exploration program throughout this boundary zone area. You can call it the Boundary Valley if you want. And that's, we got pretty much sidetracked the first year or so with these very high-grade results we came out with. Well, the first season I think we drilled 9 holes,
Right.
and that was a very successful start. And then the next year, we came in 2018 with this blockbuster start. The first results we put out were spectacular, and still in the north boundary zone. And that's a very, very minute part of the overall boundary zone in general. And, our intention was to always continue on this exploratory model based on current geophysics and geochem. And what we accomplished the second half of last year and this year is predominantly an exploration program on a broad-based level, and using all the necessary information we have at our hands, including the new geophysics, which is pretty telling in terms of when you overlay it with the geochem. There's structures there we want to test, which we've done. The geochem is also giving us a lot more data in terms, once we put the holes in the ground, we start seeing the alteration, and we're looking specifically for gold. So we're looking for the alteration would be what you would find. We're also looking for the alteration as it changes, and that would give us some guidance, pathfinder information in terms of finding a source. So you look for this potassic alteration with the sericite, et cetera, and you get an indication that we're getting closer and closer to a source. So, that was really our focus this year. And we've got, now that it's completed, we've got a lot of footage that's all going to get inputted and analyzed, and we've got some really good things to focus on for next year. So yeah, we don't have the super high grade that we had, but we've got a lot of information now. We've got a corridor that's starting to shape up that's about 700 meters long, heading north-south, like starting at the north boundary zone, heading south, and every hole we hit, with the exception of very few, is mineralized, albeit traced to 1 gram, anywhere from 0.5 gram to 1.5 gram, that sort of thing, but they're broader intersections. Even the high grade, if you hit high grade, it's generally contained within a very confined area. So what we're seeing is a lot more mineralization in these holes and broader widths. And, that's pretty significant. It's about 700 meters long now and a couple hundred meters wide. And that's before we even get to the south boundary area.
Right.
And we did a fair amount of drilling down there, and we've actually encountered in one of the holes, pretty interesting. Um, we've hit a horizon in one of the holes. The bottom part of it, it might be a couple 100 meters deep, 100, 250-ish, I think. And it's, what we would call the Escape Formation. It's that mudstone horizon that was like the holy grail to all the exploration going on 30 years ago. That's why, we have in this whole valley we're in, one hole by Noranda, they were looking for a VMS style mineralization, which is indicative of Escape Creek and what they had. And they would just move on if they didn't find it. What we've come in and done this time around is we're looking for not just Escape style. That's great. But we're looking for a hydrothermal environment as opposed to the porphyry environment. And I think what we're looking at right now is an environment where we do have the epithermal, hydrothermal events happening. We got pretty good idea that we're probably sitting on top of porphyries. There could be some big porphyry underneath from what we're seeing now. And now we're looking at a VMS horizon. So, we're we're actually really pleased with what we're seeing.
You actually answered a part of my next question, which was going to be about the multiple types of systems that you encountered. Was that surprising to you? Because you have multiple styles of mineralization that I don't know if you planned for going into the program. That's why it's called exploration, right? I use that line all the time, but it's true.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We, went into this with the hope and understanding that we were in a hydrothermal system, and that's where we would find this high grade gold. This is where, similar to Brucejack. Then we started thinking, wow, the guys just to the south of us have hitting a lot of porphyry, and the guys to the north of us are hitting a lot of porphyry. We hadn't, actually nailed any porphyry deposit that the potential yet, but we've got the indication that it's there. It could be underneath us. I like the idea of porphyry with epithermal system related to it. That's, there's some pretty amazing gold deposits around the world that are like that. But then to find this VMS as well, if that's what it indeed is, we're doing some age dating in that right now, and I think there'll be a bit of a focus next year. This could be quite the find for us in terms of a first pass to actually hit this. It's it's a pretty distinct horizon. Very black mudstone it's called, and if we can vector in on something there, that's going to be very significant.
Excellent. What's next here for the remaining part of this year and early 2020, Jim?
The remaining part of this year is going to be a lot of data compilation, a lot of studies. We've got more people looking at the data now, and I'd like to get Ron involved. He particularly likes metallurgy, but we've got a few other experts we're employing here now too. So. That's going to carry on into next year for sure, all the modeling, et cetera, et cetera. So it's, they've got their hands, they're the work cut out for them right now. And we're looking for something else out there that could piques our interest, that could give us a year-round project as well. There's a couple of things we are looking at too, because I'd like to extend this year-round exploration. Rather than just what we've got up here. This is a really great environment to be working in, but it's a short season.
It is indeed. What does the cash position look like?
We're sitting on right now about $1.5 million.
Got it.
Everything's paid for. So, last year was 10,000 meters at $250 a meter. That's a pretty good cost structure for up there. So, $2.5 million last year, $2.5 million this year. All paid for from the money we raised last year. Plus, I got another 150 left over.
Good stuff, Jim.
Or 151.5 million left over.
There you go. Anything else that you'd like to add? I know that you are looking for, a quality asset to roll in to become a year-round explorer. Anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, that speaks for itself. There are some things that we're looking at. We're in North America, primarily United States, Canada. That's where I'm looking, and I'm pleasantly surprised. There's lots to look at, but we have our favorites, and I'll leave it at that for right now.
Excellent. Jim, I'm looking forward to having you back on as details become more publicly available.
Sure. Can't wait.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Appreciate the time.
All right. You bet. Thanks.